Welcome lads and lasses to another list feature type video. Sorry for the absence over the last few weeks. I think I've missed a couple of videos. I'm sure none of you care for the reason why, so let's just continue on as if it never happened. So the title told you the plot of this video, right? 3 mistakes that every reptile keeper has made. Now that might not totally be true. These are more mistakes that I've mainly made. None of them are massive and very impactful, but they're irritating little mistakes that I made frequently and just never learned from. But if I was to name this video 3 mistakes that I've definitely made, and you might have made, and none of them are super impactful, not a very compelling title, is it? So now that my point has been proven, let's jump on into number 1 of these 3. Right, so number 1 is hand feeding. I mean, the whole point of having reptiles, right, is to interact with them and experience them, and hand feeding is a great way to get up close and personal and kind of learn your reptile. Experience them properly. Like hand feeding a reptile, that's just a cool thing to do. I mean, it's a great way to build trust with your lizard, and you can even target train them. I've never done it myself. I've seen a number of people do it on YouTube, which makes me a theoretical expert. Watching videos on something gains you experience and can make you an expert if you watch enough of the content, which is why I spend at least 1 hour on the hub per day. But the reality of hand feeding a lizard, or a snake, or a reptile, any reptile, even a dog, is that it comes with a few slight risks. Let me outline a couple of those now. Planning this video would have been a much better idea. For one, the reptile may always think that you're trying to feed them, in which case every time you open the enclosure they run at you as if, where's the food? For one, the reptile may always think that you're feeding them. Every time you come to the enclosure or open the enclosure door, they may assume that it's just feeding time, and they may just rush up to you and give you a little taste test. Or maybe it happens when you're actually feeding your reptile and they miss the food item and get your finger instead. Let's use a king snake for example. Let's say you're holding the mouse trying to feed your king snake. King snake's here, this hand right here, comes over and it goes for the mouse, but it misses. It gets your finger. It's now latched onto your finger, thinking your finger is said mouse. Now it's not a big deal. Eventually they will realize that you're not food, or that you're too big, or that you just taste bad, and they will let go. Especially if you're white, because you know there's no seasoning on them fingers. But they do take their sweet ass time deciding that. I mean, maybe a king snake wasn't the best example for this, because they really are food driven beyond most other snakes. Like, holy crap man, I got things to do today. I did not plan on having a snake hanging off my finger for a portion of it. I need the left hand, the right one just doesn't feel right. I guess I could always just feed them with my right hand and then that always leaves the left hand free. Now, not to mention that if you get latched on by a snake, it might hurt, depending on the size of the snake, for sure. It might even leave some teeth marks. What's the lady that does my nails gonna think? I mean, she doesn't speak English, so it doesn't really matter anyway, I guess. Can't really blame the snake, though, for doing this. You should have been using feeding tongs, you twat. So lesson learned here, hopefully. Use feeding tongs. Do not just feed via your fingers if it's a fast-striking snake, especially. But in fairness, if you heed my warning or you don't, doesn't really make any difference to me. They're your fingers, you do with them what you want, shove them up your ass for all I care. Preferably not the same finger that you intend on using to feed your snakes. Use a different one. Mistake number 2 is leaving the enclosure door open, or the lid off, or whatever. You're basically not leaving your reptile fully enclosed. So I've had a couple of my snakes escape, and it's always down to my stupidity. I either forget to lock the door, or in some cases just forget to close the f***ing thing altogether. Now that is in part because I do it with the lizards. When I'm dealing with Gizmo's enclosure, I just leave the door wide open, because the lizards have no intention of leaving that enclosure. That is their home, they don't want to come out. Snakes, on the other hand, they don't want to be in their enclosure, they want to be anywhere that isn't their enclosure. It's like a life mission of theirs to escape. So let's see here, how many snakes have I had escape? I had Malagasy escape because I didn't lock the door of the quadplex. I had Aloy escape because I built the rack system with too much space for her to get over the top. So that's 2. And I had a ball python escape because she broke the glass of one of the enclosures. That's it. So those are the 3 that I've had escape. No, wait, I'm lying. I've had 1 more animal escape. This is going to make me look like a real idiot though. I had a scorpion once. It's already not sounding good, is it? It was an emperor scorpion, and I had it in one of those like little critter keeper things. And I swear that before I went to bed, I had that enclosure closed. I swear it was closed. But alas, it must not have been, because I woke up the next day to a empty critter enclosure with the lid lifted and no scorpion inside it. So I basically tipped my room upside down, emptied everything to no prevail of finding the little scorpion. So then I progressed out to the hallway, did the same thing with everything there, progressed to the washroom, progressed to my roommate's bedroom, everything. I turned this house upside fucking down, did not find it. And for about a week or 2 after, I'd go out with a black light, trying to see if I could see it at night. Saw nothing. Saw f*** all. I did point that black light at the Margot Robbie poster, and that was a mistake. So I named the scorpion Houdini, and it's never been found. Still living in this house somewhere, I assume, but that was 2 years ago now. So, you know. I mean, thinking about it now, maybe, this might be a bit dark for YouTube, but I'm not cancelable, so hell, let's go with it anyway. I did have 2 roommates at the time of my scorpion escape. Maybe they thought it was a deadly scorpion. Maybe they were trying to get a teardrop tattoo. It's dark, but it's possible. They did get me to finish my will before that night. Mistake number 3 now. Not securing the f***ing background to the enclosure. This one pisses me off. I mean, this one doesn't happen to me anymore because I'm a paranoid maniac when it comes to backgrounds now. I glue the living shit and cork the living shit out of the backgrounds now. Nothing's getting behind them. So all the enclosures I have backgrounds that I've built and installed. And what used to happen was I put all this effort into the enclosures, backgrounds that is, install them, put a snake in there. It was always a fucking king snake as well. And it would somehow find a way to get behind the background. Now, the snake is behind the background. I can't see it. I can't check on it. It's kind of hard to feed it. So I would have to come up with a plan. How do I get this snake out? Well, remove the background, right? The background's glued and corked in place. So the only way that that background comes out is if I destroy it. I can't not take the background off and leave the snake in there because I can't check on it. It might be stuck in there. I don't know what's going on behind that background. It might not know how to get back out. So after hours of work building and installing that background, I would have to actively destroy it to rescue a snake. I mean, now I put so much effort into keeping these backgrounds fucking solid that nothing's getting behind them. Like Gizmo's background is f***ing nailed in place. Like not even a cricket could get behind that thing. Because snakes are escape artists, and if you give them the tiniest little wiggle room, they will figure out a way of getting in there. I don't know if they do it accidentally or out of spite. I feel like it has to be out of spite at this point, based on the quantity of times it bloody well happens. Crafty little buggers. So those are my 3 mistakes I've made relatively consistently. None of them are big, like major, life-threatening mistakes for the reptile or for me. But they are irritating. Let me know in the comments if you've experienced any of these mistakes or what your most common mistake is that you do.